Oh, feels good to be back. Welcome around the bonfire. Darrin Bauming, Chris Walby. It's game day Winnipeg as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers kick off their 2025 season on Thursday night at the newly coined Princess Auto Stadium. Let's bring in the man you came to see. Number 63, Chris Walby, CFL, Canadian Football Hall of Famer, 16 years in the league, 10 years calling games on television, and now 11 years doing games with me. Crazy to think. Year 5 here on YouTube,
fast,
Chris.
It's gone fast. And it's funny you say that. I was looking at something, and it's just off topic. And that's what I do. You know me, man. Stanley Bryant.
Yeah. I
think it's his 14th or 15th year this year. 39. He'll be 40 next year. 16 years, exactly same rep. You know, I was 40. 16 years. I mean, obviously he's got some good, he's following in a good footsteps, man. And Stanley is a heck of a ball player. So kudos to the man to stay healthy and still playing, brother. But it's good to be back, as you say, DB. And what a game. We're looking forward to the first one of the season. That bye week was killing me watching all the other teams play. And our guys were just sitting at home dusting off. So they're ready to go. Their Rockets are ready and they're ready to fire.
Yeah, it was an interesting CFL week one, for all the teams except for Winnipeg, who have of their 3 byes this season. Every team gets 3 byes. Winnipeg, of course, having one in week 1. So it's essentially an extended training camp. And the BC Lions coming off, I would say, a decisive victory over the Edmonton Elks. It was Nathan Rourke against Trey Ford, and the first time 2 Canadian quarterbacks getting a head-to-head start in week 1 of a CFL season. And the first time I think 2 Canadian quarterbacks have gone head-to-head since like 1978 or something like that. But Rourke looked really, really good, Chris. We'll get into that. We'll get into, obviously, all the changes the Blue Bombers have seen through the offseason. Obviously, Buck Pierce, now the head coach of the BC Lions, and a new offensive coordinator in Winnipeg, and Jason Hogan and Jarius Jackson by his right hand. There'll be no Zach Collaros Thursday night. We'll get into his 1-game suspension, under the CFL's drug enforcement policy, and, changes obviously to the roster top to bottom, and guys that are here new, that guys that are still here, and guys that are no longer here, maybe most notably Adam Bighill. But we'll look at the Blue Bombers depth chart. First things first here, Chris. Want to send our best wishes to a gentleman who spent years and years as a key cog in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers organization. He's the reason Winnipeg has been in the last 5 straight Grey Cup games, and that is former Blue Bombers assistant general manager and now the general manager of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, Ted Goveia. Was announced by the team just a week or so ago that he's battling a severe form of cancer. We're obviously wishing for the best for him and praying for him. As somebody that knows him a little bit, Chris, like, just a great guy. I had a retired CFL player texting me today about a bunch of CFL stuff, and just like heartbroken that Ted Goveia, who was the guy that brought him into the league from California and always had his back, always, had him, and just heartbreaking news. And of course, we sure hope that Ted's able to recover and fully from this and beat it.
And I'll just want to throw that in it too, as well as the other thing. I mean, there's a big ceremony. It's Celebration of Life down in Atlanta, Georgia for Milt Stegall, his wife Darlene, and obviously their son Chase, who unexpectedly had passed away at the early age of 20. I know there was a live feed to watch the ceremony, and I know that Milt, we all feel for him. Man, it's nothing. I don't even know if there's a pain comparable to losing a son, because everybody's, you always want to go before your children. Unexpected, and we just wish them. We send our love and our prayers and wish them the best.
Absolutely. The CFL community is a very tight-knit one, and everybody, banding together in support of Ted Goveia and his family and Milt Stegall and the Stegall family as well. Hard to segue out of that, but the reality is we need to move on and talk about the game at hand. Here's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers depth chart and roster for this week 1 game of their season. This, of course, being their first game, and tons of changes. Maybe most notably, we'll start on the defense, Chris. The position you played 1 year of for the Montreal Alouettes before you became a legendary Blue Bomber. James Vaughters signing as a free agent, coming over from the Calgary Stampeders. He will bookend Willie Jefferson. Devin Adams getting the start at defensive tackle. We'll see a lot of Cam Lawson and Jake Thomas as the Canadians here. Canadian Colin Cornelsen as well. But a bit of a new look on the defensive line for Winnipeg.
Like Vaughters, I think it's a great pickup. I mean, obviously you want to have somebody who can force the guy out of the pocket, not always go away from James Jefferson. So, he's a true guy. James Vaughters played in the NFL for 3 years, played in Calgary. He's an impact player, was injured a bit. If he stays healthy, I think he could be a real impact player for the Bombers on that one side of the defensive line.
No doubt about that. The Blue Bombers signed free agent linebacker from the Toronto Argonauts, Jonathan Jones, to compete with Kyrie Wilson at the weak side linebacker spot. Jones is on the 1-game injured list. We'll take a look at that injured list in just a second. But Kyrie Wilson gets the start in game 1, week 2 for Winnipeg. And of course, this Jones really knocked things out of the park when it came to taking over from the injured Adam Bighill last season. Bighill, still a free agent, has not announced any sort of retirement. Don't expect him to. Still living in Winnipeg, doing a lot of great work with, philanthropic work with a bunch of charities. But Jones and Wilson, the new linebacking duo in Winnipeg. But I'm just warning people, Jonathan Jones on the 1-game injured list, essentially a healthy scratch for this first game. He is somebody that will factor into this linebacking core.
Yeah, they got a great linebacker. We've talked about Kyrie. Kyrie at a time was one of the times considered one of the most underrated, unappreciated weak side linebacker. Unfortunately, got injured, and that kind of derailed that season. He was having an all-star season before the injury. Tony Jones, you know what? You watch that guy on special teams. He's a demon. That's where he made his impact. He had some great hits last year. I know in one game he forced a fumble that led to a touchdown. Just an impact player as far as hitting people. I think he's going to do a great job at that middle linebacker. And we all know what Reddy Cramdy, tough as nails, as Mike O'Shea likes to say. He may go down in practice, but he never misses a game. Just a stud at that strong side linebacker. Can cover and can come up and fill that box and stop the run.
Yeah, Griffin, his second year in Winnipeg, and really came on in the second half of the season last year. He will factor in, can play a little safety, can play, the dime back, strong side linebacker spot, that cover linebacker spot. Watch for him as well. Jamal Parker missed all of 2024 with a major knee injury. I believe it was an ACL, nothing official from the team, of course. He was a corner last year. Now he's the new starting safety with Brandon Alexander moving on from football. BA, as they call him, was a guest coach in Blue Bombers training camp this season. Of course, Nick Hallett is right here, but they're starting an American again at free safety. It'll be Terrell Bonds and Dietrich Nichols on the boundary side. Really pissed me off, Chris, that Dietrich Nichols doesn't get the respect he deserves as one of the best cover players in the league, maybe even just one of the best players in the league. A glaring omission from the CFL top 50 players list. Him and Evan Holm both signing a free agent extension or contract extension this offseason to remain in Winnipeg. Marquise Bridges back for a second year with Winnipeg, but now a starter at boundary corner. This is Trey Vavel. I'm told it's pronounced Vavel. He will handle kick and punt returning duties right now, while Peyton Logan and some other guys, Dylan Mitchell as well, are either injured or healthy scratches this week. But a bit of a new look in the defensive secondary, Chris, for Jordan Younger's crew. Holm and Nichols remain, but Bonds, Bridges, Parker, all essentially new in their spots.
Well, Bonds played last year. I mean, he was back on that corner. I think he did well.
But now taking the boundary spot, right? Or sorry, no, yeah, right. He was the boundary corner spot with.
He was there last year. Yeah,
Tyrell
Ford, who went to Edmonton to play with his brother. Yeah. I think Jamal Parker, because when you play corner, you have to have great speed. You're usually covering some pretty fast cats out there. I think he's recovered from the knee or whatever injury he had last year. That was unfortunate, but I think the fact that he can play safety tells you that he's got great closing skills, and he's smart with the football. I mean, they're not just going to throw another guy there unless the guy has the understanding, because we've talked about this before. Brandon Alexander was the quarterback of the defensive secondary. So that's exactly a job that's going to fall to Jamal Parker now. He's got to make sure they're in the right coverage, make sure they switch off on when you get the receivers, try to pick people. So, I mean, he's obviously got the smarts to play, and I think Jordan Younger sees that. And as of now, Jamal Parker will get that start. I think it's a good pick to start at that free safety spot.
The three players I just highlighted on your screen there. Enoch McConzo, injured during training camp, did not look good. He may miss the season. I don't have that on strong authority, but I'm very inclined to possibly believe that. Could be, a torn muscle or something in the upper body, which are really tough ones. But a Canadian defensive back, linebacker type. Jake Kelly is also on the 6-game injured list, a Blue Bombers draft pick and a Canadian defensive back. Josh Haggerty signing as a free agent as a Canadian defensive back. He's on the 1-game injured list. So that's the depth they have behind Retta Cramdy, behind Nick Hallett, Noah Hallett, who was with Winnipeg the last number of years, just could not stay healthy, out of football now. But here's the Blue Bombers injured list. Haggerty, Jonathan Jones, who we mentioned before at linebacker on the 1 game. Peyton Logan missed the majority, almost all of training camp, signing as a free agent, kind of running back, scat back, offensive weapon hybrid, and kick returner, formerly of the Calgary Stampeders, and Dylan Mitchell signing as a free agent from Edmonton. This is a guy that is capable of being a 1,000-yard receiver in the CFL. Was kind of up and down during training camp. Was he hurt? Was he in shape? Nobody seems to really know, but he is essentially a healthy scratch on the 1-game injured list. Did play through training camp and the 2 preseason games, both wins over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Also on the 1 game, Canadian defensive tackle Tanner Schmeckel, all-world name team Tanner Schmeckel, Zach Schnitzer's favorite player, of course. Fabian Wheats is a linebacker and a global player. Jamal Woods. It is Devin Adams getting the start at defensive tackle, the American spot over Jamal Woods, but he's back again, big personality. And then Eric Lofton, who was the starting right tackle for the Blue Bombers last year, has missed almost all of training camp. He is going to start the season on the 6-game injured list. So that kind of brings us to the offense, Chris, where Kendall Randolph will start at right tackle. Pat Neufeld is a game time decision after getting snagged up in practice this week. I don't expect it to be too serious, but Chris Kolinkowski back at center, of course, the aforementioned legend that will join you in the Ring of Honor, Chris, no doubt. Stanley Bryan at left tackle. They're starting an American at left guard, Micah Vanterpool. So tell me about some of these changes with Kendall Randolph kicking in for the injured Lofton, Vanterpool as an American beating out Tui Ellie, and Gabe Wallace as the Canadian backups for that left guard spot. Some changes for Winnipeg on the O-line.
Yeah, and I think the Vanterpool, obviously a first-year guy out of Hawaii, he's getting an opportunity. I think he dressed for 2 games last year. I think he did, but it says he's first year. Some of these depth charts are garbage he send out.
I think he was on the PR, right? Yeah.
He was on the PR, which means he's first still, yeah. Big kid, 6'5", 320. Then you got the guy from Alabama starting at right tackle, and Kendall Randolph, who I think played in 6 games last year. But, man, I tell you, and if Pat Neufeld can't go, now this is the question I'm going to ask you, DB. He banged his knee up. He kind of got up and he kind of got tangled up with Chris Streveler doing drills. Left the practice, did not return. It looked like he was favoring a knee. I don't know. It's a game time decision. Do you keep? I know he's tough as nails. Listen, Patty's tough as nails. Mm-hmm. But do you risk keeping him in there or putting him in there when he's not 100%? The other problem is when you got a guy, Gabe Wallace, who has, he's basically hasn't played a ton, big boy, large body. Can he fit in there and protect? I mean, you need the veteran presence there. And it's going to be really important because the Lions, as we'll get to later, they've got some tough guys in that defensive front, man. They can get after the quarterback. And you know what? And part of me is like, maybe I'm happy to have Chris Streveler in the game this time because he can break tackles and he can run through people because I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on the Bomber offensive line and offense in whole.
sometimes people say it's just lip service when the Blue Bombers say, well, there's no number ones and number twos, and we got confidence in everybody on the field or in the locker room to be able to step up and play.
Yeah.
But that said, I still feel like Winnipeg has a lot of confidence in 𝘽𝙤𝙤𝙦 and in Gabe Wallace. Wallace, a second-year player, high Bombers draft pick in 2024. His personality, his maybe not the personality to the same extreme as yours, Chris, but reminds me a lot of you. His body type, his nastiness, his creative facial hair just reminds me of some of the mullets and things you used to pull off back in the day.
Mullets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Maybe it was a Chicken Delight costume. I don't know. But Gabe Wallace just reminds
Somebody
me a lot.
posted that today. I can't believe they posted that
People
in Twitter.
love that. That meme
Chicken
keeps
Delight,
coming.
man. I haven't done that. I thought my first thing I read, I went, half-price chicken on game day. I think, well, you sons of guns, I tell you what, if they're using my name, I better call those Chicken Delight people. But that's an old ad. Had a lot of fun doing that stuff way back. But I digress. I'll go back. Yeah, I think Gabe Wallace could be an impact player. I just like the veteran presence because of chemistry. Yeah, I know the philosophy is anybody should be able to go in and play. And that's true. That's 100% right. But as an O-line, much like the secondary and the defense, you have to have chemistry. You have to have the ability to play together. You have to be able to read each other so well when they're doing twists on the defense. Who do I pick up? Do I take the guy coming in? Do I take the guy looping? There's so many variables that you have to work out. And a lot of times when you have a rookie, as Cal Murphy used to say, you lose a turnover or a touchdown with every rookie you start. So I don't know if I go that far. I mean, obviously Micah Vanderpool's a big kid. I mean, that's 320 at the guard position. And again, Randolph, another big body at the right tackle. So I do believe that I know O'Shea is very happy with the O-line and how they're playing. I am just one of those guys, having played on the O-line, who just understands that the chemistry is one thing. The ability to play with together, to understand what your guard is doing or your center is doing on every particular play. So, Chris Kołakowski, the center, who will call out the defense and the blocking schemes on that offensive line, will have his work cut out for you against what I consider a pretty good BC defensive line.
Let's maybe get to the one area that, bury the lead, if you will. Chris Streveler starting at quarterback in game 1, week 2 for the Blue Bombers because, well, where is Zach Collaros? He's not on the injured list. He is not on the roster, the practice roster, obviously. For those that maybe were living under a rock late in the offseason, he has been suspended one game by the Canadian Football League for essentially not answering his phone, text message, or email. 3 times he was sent those in a 48-hour period, did not respond, and was, essentially up for, a performance-enhancing drug test. To be perfectly clear, he has not tested positive in any way, shape, or form. He essentially was just, unplugged for a few days. And, since then, the CFL has changed their rule. They're going to, in the next offseason, not have a random number reaching out to them saying, hi, my name's Bob from this acronym company. Give me a call back. They're going to have the team, the coach, the agent, somebody who that player knows. So they actually respond. Because, I don't know, how many robocalls or spam text messages do you get to be like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? You're like, garbage.
I probably got 5 or 6 this morning from spam and some other places. I think that rule was ridiculous. I think they should have rescinded it. And I know they originally gave him 2, and they said, okay, you know what, we'll give him 1. I don't think he should have got 1. I think it's ridiculous. 24 hours is what I originally heard, that he didn't respond within 24 hours. And I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? Come on. There's days, you just want to unwind. You take your phone, you shut it off.
It was
February. You just don't be pestered.
It was
and
February.
Think about it. You're a quarterback. You're maybe on vacation. You don't want to be dealing with all this stuff. You know what? You got your family. You got your kids. So to me, that was a blunder by the CFL, and I hate to say it, but I just think it's a ridiculous rule. I'm glad to hear, as you mentioned, DB, that they're going to change it. And, I love the fact that people that are affiliated with that person who's going to be about to be tested will be the ones that can contact the player.
Yeah.
But I also say this, and I thank you for saying that about Zach, because he's never tested positive. I just think it's ridiculous. You know what? He's going to miss a good game. I know he wants to play. chomping at the bit. He is a difference maker. I don't care how old he is. I think, you know what, you didn't have Zach in your lineup. I don't think you go to 5 straight Grey Cups. So I'm sorry. That's just what I feel.
Agreed. Yep.
And I think Chris Streveler will have – I'm happy with Chris. Listen, Streveler, you know, it'll be his 14th start. And what I do like about him is he came back from a devastating knee injury last September. Mm-hmm. He's back. He's happy. He's healthy. He's married. You know, he's just on the right side now. You know what I mean?
Got a baby coming.
I know he's chomping a bit. He's got it. Yes, there you go. So, I mean, I think he's a better quarterback now. And it's hard to say that, but from what I'm hearing, he's throwing the ball extremely well. He understands the offense. He's been here for a few years. Now it's a new offensive coordinator in, you know, John Hogan. I believe it's John Hogan. I think it's Jason Hogan. I guess he's going to start. It'll be the first one. Hogan's Heroes. You know that's going to be coming out. Hogan's Heroes, that old TV show. But I guarantee you, you know, they say that he didn't simplify it, the playbook, but his ability to adapt. And he says they make changes on the go, which I love. I don't like when teams make the change at halftime or at the end of the quarter. I like the fact they can make changes on the go. I'm excited to see what he brings to the offense. We might have got spoiled with Buck Pierce for 5 years. You know what I mean? Yep. I think it's great. I'm happy for Buck that he's the head coach of BC. I think it's a great first game when you get BC coming to Winnipeg and Buck Pierce is here. And I know he's saying all the right things, you know, but it'll be interesting for him. I mean, he spent a lot of time in that clubhouse, you know. And I now there's a chess game. Jordan Younger knows what Buck likes to do on offense. Buck knows what Jordan Younger likes to do on defense.
That's right.
So it's a huge chess game, and I love it. And, you know, I'm just going to say this. I'm going to the game tomorrow. I'm looking forward to having a great time out there and watching great football. I've been chomping at the bit for this for a while, man.
Can I get your autograph?
What's that?
Can I get your autograph?
We'll be signing. And you know what? I'm going to throw this out there because I think it's great. A lot of the old guys are going to be at Alumni Alley tomorrow. John Bonk, who I played with when I first got here, one of the best centers, one of the best offensive linemen ever for the Bombers in the Hall of Fame. He will be there. Haven't seen him for a long time, probably 20-something years, along with Trevor Kennard, Stan Mickelwas, a lot of the old guys that played with John. Patterson. Patterson. He'll be there. There's a lot of guys. So, I mean, come on down to Alumni Alley. Take a look at Johnny. We used to call him Rainbow, and we called him Rainbow because his hair color changed with every season. What? So I'm looking forward to seeing a rainbow. That's my goal.
What do you mean his hair color changed, like naturally, or like he was dyeing his hair?
He had white hair in the winter. He had blonde hair in the summer. He had, you know, brownie
just
ash
for men in the shower, or what?
He was like the leaves. He was like leaves in a tree, man. The only color he didn't have was green, and thank God he didn't have green. But anyway,
I like that. You mentioned Jason Hogan as the new offensive coordinator, Chris. Also new quarterbacks coach, who has experience as an offensive coordinator in the CFL. Jason Hogan does not. This is his first year as a professional OC. And of course, you know, came out of U Sports as a quarterback and a coach and worked his way up. But Jarius Jackson, we remember him playing in the league, and then, of course, was the head coach of the Edmonton Elks, I believe, you know, before they were the Elks. He was with, you know, the Edmonton Eskimos. But very highly regarded offensive coordinator who will be there by Jason Hogan's side to, you know, help him if he needs it. I don't expect him to need it, but that is a nice thing that Winnipeg has in surrounding themselves. Like Mike O'Shea even talked about it years ago, right? He likes to surround himself with experience. Richie Hall, Gary Echeverry, right? You know, Buck Pierce, Paul LaPolice. That's what they did with Jarius Jackson, and to bring him in to help Jason Hogan, I think overall is a very good move. But they'll have some new weapons to work with as well. With the receiving core, there being changes. I think it's absolutely huge that Dalton Schoen was retained in free agency. Kenny Lawler, no longer here. Of course, signing with the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So too with the Ticats did
Guitar
Drew
man.
Wolodarski, right?
Guitar man, yeah.
And Ontario Wilson, who was a 1,000-yard receiver last year, a division all-star, I believe, signed in the NFL, still there. But Keurig Wheatfall, Nick Dembski, Jareth Stearns signed as a free agent from the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Kevin Sklercius, the Canadian big body guy, back again. That's your starting receiving core for game 1, week 2. How do you like that group without Kenny Lawler, but with a healthy Dalton Schoen, really champing at the bit to get back and make an impact?
Yeah, you know what? First of all, I'll say this. When you have great receivers and at the end of the year, you only have so much pie. And what I call pie is money pie. And they can't afford to keep everybody. Again, Kenny Lawler, who was once the highest paid receiver when he signed with Edmonton, I think is still now the highest paid receiver with Hamilton. We just can't. If you want to pay him that kind of money, then you can't sign a guy like Schoen. I think Schoen has shown in the time he's played what an impact player he is. He's got great chemistry with Collaros, finds the Obi, not the quickest guy, but runs fantastic pattern. He reminds me of Ben Cahoon from the Montreal Alouettes, who was not the quickest, but he just found a way to get open and make touchdowns. He's a touchdown maker. I mean, he just has so many. I like Stearns, who came over from Saskatchewan. I think that he was battling, obviously, with Dylan Mitchell. But Mitchell, they say, like you mentioned earlier, DB, and I kind of wonder myself, did he come in shape? Because, as you say, I think he has the potential to be that big playmaker. He was with Edmonton for a while, but I don't know if he just got tired or if he didn't work out as hard as he should have. And I shouldn't speak. I don't know what his off-season regime is. Right. But it's a great opportunity for Jareth Stearns to prove that he belongs in the starting lineup. You got Reggie White Jr., too.
I like
the Montreal Alouettes.
Big body.
And he's another guy, but he's on the practice rosters, too. So they have some options. Keurig Wheatfall, I think, is going to have a breakout. I like Kevin Sklercius. I think he's good. I think the guy that we'll have to watch, and I think the guy that really stirs the pot from that receiving crew, though, is still number 10, Nick Dembski, who just finds a way to make a big play when they need a big play. He's that kind of guy. Outstanding player is right. And we haven't even started to talk about, and I know we're just talking about the receivers now, but I think Dembski's going to, he's going to be, he's on track for some kind of records. I think he's got.
He's been in the league forever, like a decade now, right?
Well, I remember watching him in Saskatchewan. I said, "Man, that guy would be great in a Bomber uniform," and he has been great in the Bomber uniform. So, and then of course you're looking over there.
Can we talk about fellow Winnipegger and the reigning CFL most outstanding player, Brady Oliveira?
And Canadian?
Brady,
and Canadian
Brady, bully ball, baby. Just an incredibly outstanding season for him in 2024. Just in talking with him off camera, off microphone, he's fired up.
Well, did you see his workout? Now, I'm going to tell you what. I don't care what anybody says. He's underwater. He's running underwater, holding his breath with weights in his hands.
Yeah.
That was his training. And he said he was up to 3 minutes holding his breath while he's underwater. That's incredible. Yeah. That lung capacity is unbelievable. I try and do that, and I bob after 15 seconds. So it's
because you got open beers in your hand, and if you're under the water, you're struggling to just get those. And
that's why I only go in water that's cold because I don't want my beer to get warm. So I always got to make sure the pool is cold. But I'll say this: Brady is on track. He's going to try and get his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard rushing. He's a great receiver. He had yards after catch, was outstanding. I still think of the one run where he broke it. Bunch of tackles and took it into the touch for a touchdown. He must have broke 4 or 5 tackles. Mm-hmm. He's so hard to bring down.
Yeah.
And I talk about this all the time. I like the way he plays football. I know that I was reading and they were kind of dogging Buck Pierce today a little bit. Do you have regrets of making Zach try to throw the football last Grey Cup versus handing it off and playing bully ball, as you like to call it? Losing that game, but here you go. He just look at that catch, eh? That's one thing about him. He can throw the ball. He throws deep balls like crazy. That's Wilson kid, eh?
quick highlight pack
Yeah.
put together by Zachary Nolan, a student
Good job,
that
Zach.
is working with Bonfire Sports again this summer, going back to Red River Polytechnic, I guess it's called now. But big thanks to him for putting this together. Of course, it was the early in the game, Collaros looked really good, but this was 3 straight games. Like, I really like Buck Pierce, but if there is a criticism I have for him, is that in the big game, the loss to the Argos in 2022, the loss to the Alouettes in 23, and then this loss to the Argos in 2024, the offensive play calling seemed out of character for what has worked all season. And yeah, I understand, like here's a turnover by Lucky Whitehead. The injury to Zach Collaros, I think maybe most notably here, I'll skip ahead. The injury to Zach Collaros, well, this was the takeaway by Willie Jefferson, was absolutely nuts.
He had it. You know what?
He had the best game of his career.
I think he should have been MVP in a losing time, but he was just a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't turn the ball over that much. You know what I mean? Here's with interception. They just turned the ball over 20 times, and every time they turned it off, it cost them. And I think the one was the interception by Winton McManus, who took it in for the touchdown and basically salted that game.
If you look closely here, this is Zach Collaros late in the game. Here, I'll see if I can zoom in. I don't think I can. He's wearing a glove on his right hand. And at this point, the Blue Bombers decide to continue to throw the football and throw it deep. We talked to the players in the huddle after the game, and Collaros told them,
I can't throw the ball deep,
he's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get you the ball, but they kept throwing it. So to me, this wasn't just the 2011 Grey or the 111th Grey Cup. This was the 109th, 110th, and 111th, where Winnipeg's play calling offensively was problematic. There was another interception thrown there, essentially.
But I'll say that I agree with you a bit there, DB. But I mean, the one game that the Toronto Argonauts beat them, and they blocked the field goal. I mean, that's just what do you call it? That's a great play by the defensive.
But they had Dakota Prukop in throwing picks. Yeah. Why is Dakota Prukop throwing the football? You don't need trick plays in a big game like that.
I agree.
That's what I was talking
about. I will go back over that. I mean, that's the thing that you remember the losses sometimes more than you do the win.
Yeah, of course.
I can tell you right now, we lost in 92 to Flutie. We lost in 93 to Damon Allen, 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And I mentioned this before, that in 93, we should never have lost the Grey Cup because Matt Dunnigan, if he didn't, blow an Achilles, I think that we would have walked all over him, and that's easy to say, but we put 50-plus points on him in both the games in 93. I think he set a record in 93 with 714 yards against them. But having said that, it doesn't mean nothing. If you don't win the end game, who cares, right? I mean, that's the thing. But those are the ones that sting the most. I can remember the wins, but the losses, sometimes they hurt, man.
Well, Mike O'Shea always says, you either win and learn, or you lose and you learn even more, the stronger lessons, right? Hey, right now, it doesn't matter. The pressure maybe is the factor that does matter, because the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who signed Zach Collaros to a contract extension just a few weeks ago through 2026. This was his final year of his deal. Now he's got one more on top of it. Keeping in mind, no contracts in the CFL are guaranteed, so a team can essentially cut a player anytime. Not saying that they will, but something to keep in mind when you sign a veteran player to an extension. But the pressure's on, Chris, because the 112th Grey Cup is here in Winnipeg. And we know one thing about the CFL: the team that hosts the Grey Cup is pushing incredibly hard, even harder than normal. Everybody's trying to win a Grey Cup every year. But that year you host everything, you put everything on the line. You spend over the salary cap, you bite the bullet, you take your lumps, and you sacrifice what you have to sacrifice in order to give your team a chance to play that championship game and win that championship on home soil. Hasn't happened in the CFL since, I think, the Rough Riders in 2012.
That's more a management thing. The players don't take that. We don't go, hey, game 1 BC, we got the game and Grey Cup. Players don't think like that. The management does, absolutely, because they want to make it to the big show. They want to sell out with a bunch of home crowds, you know what I mean? They're the ones that, as you mentioned quite astutely, we'll go over the salary cap. We'll pick up a key player at a key time. But the players just take it a game at a time. And I know it sounds redundant and it sounds like a cliche, but right now they're just waiting to play. Like I know the Bombers right now are saying, let's see how we do. We got new guys. We lost, Kenny Lawler. We lost, Adam Biggie in the middle. Brandon Alexander, the guitar man, Wolotarski, Liam Dobson, who we don't talk about, who is, coming into his own at guard. He went to Hamilton as well. And there's always going to be change. I said this at Grey Cup. Whenever you're at the end and you get a chance, look around and you look at your teammates and you go, you know what, guys? A majority of us, nucleus of us, will be back probably.
Right.
But there's always going to be ultimately changes. So that's why you try and win for those teammates. It's phenomenal feeling, but they got a tough one. We talking a lot about the Bombers, but the BC Lions looked really, really good against Edmonton. And actually, Ford, the quarterback, Trey Ford, he looked good. You see him scamper?
He looked good when he wasn't throwing. I'll give you that.
I know, that's the thing. Well, he's a scat. He's a scamper. He's a scat rat, right? He just runs around. But he did make a couple nice throws. I'll say this.
In a loss to the BC Lions. Yeah.
Nathan Rourke, second half, 16 of 19, 2 touchdowns. On fire.
I thought he was...
Did you see him run?
And finishing phenomenal. Runs, right? Running up the middle and finishing runs. They say Chase Bryce is, there's Jeremiah Masoli, by the way, as the veteran backup in BC now. Nathan Rourke, finishing runs, running up the gut, but also Chase Bryce is not going to be the short yardage quarterback. It's going to be Nathan Rourke this week. So I found that interesting. But Keon Hatcher back. Barry Hill had a big game with a couple touchdowns. Eberhardt back again. Justin McInnes, who was number 3, I think, in the CFL top 50. I don't get that, but he did lead the league in receiving last season. Canadian Javon Gatoy there as well. They've made some changes on the offensive line. They are starting 4 Americans. Only former Blue Bomber Michael Couture on the offensive line. Broxton, Woodruff, Schluger, Allen, all Americans that they're starting there. And then back again is James Butler. Very dynamic, multi-weapon running back after a year or two in Hamilton, is back with the BC Lions where he started his CFL career, runs the ball hard, is effective in the pass game. They've got some, Buck Pierce's offense with a Nathan Rourke and a Butler and a really talented receiving core. Like, look out for Barry Hill. He just finds ways to get open deep. They're offensively, Chris, looking like a team that could lead the league in scoring this season.
Well, I watched Nathan, and he said the one thing that concerns me, as I saw him and he rushed 5 times for 50-something yards, he broke a couple tackles, and he didn't go down. Usually a quarterback will slide. He just stood up there and he tried to get as much as he could. He's a guy that got hurt last time. You don't want that. And for him to play short yardage is a joke. I don't understand that. I'm sorry. I don't think that. I know he was practicing. I was on their website today listening to them talk about it. Whether that's just a bunch of rhetoric, I don't know. But I wouldn't.
Tell me something, though. Let me interrupt you. Tell me something. When's the last time you saw a quarterback get hurt in short yardage? Frankly, when's the last time you saw a running back, a ball carrier, get hurt in short yardage?
Kevin Glenn.
7 times?
Broke his arm against the Argos.
Oh, sorry. Who's that?
Kevin Glenn.
That was not a short yardage situation.
Yeah, it was. It was 2nd and 1 or 2nd and 2. Broke his arm.
Well, no, he fumbled and he reached for the ball.
Doesn't matter. Broke his arm. You're wrong. I'm right. I'm always right.
Well, what else is new?
Stick that in your head and whatever. Doesn't matter. No, I think that's good, but
do you know
I want to say one thing.
I don't think there's a huge risk there.
I don't like it. I'm just saying I don't like it. It's my star player. That's like putting Zach in short yardage. I don't like it. But I'll say this. Buck Pierce likes to run the football. Did it with Brady Ball. And I think that James Butler, who came back to BC this offseason, will be the recipient of the fact that they will run the ball a lot more. He only had 9 carries or 10 carries last week, but he averaged 6.8 yards a carry. Nice. That's what you want. And then, of course, I think their offense is good, but and then they got Mike Benavides as defensive coordinator. And look at their defense. And I'm going to tell you right now, that guy on the right, number 90, or on my right, your left, if you're going Matthew Betts, he had 7 tackles last week. That's fantastic. Seriously, that's a stat in itself. Do you know what the one that really jumped off at me? He had 9 quarterback pressures. 9. I'm going to tell you what, Randolph and Bryant, you're going to have some work tomorrow, boys.
Yeah.
That guy is a game breaker.
Yeah. When you got someone like Cherry as a backup, Tavai had a great season last year. Dwayne Hendricks, I think he was with the Toronto Argonauts last year on that best defensive front in the CFL. Grover Covington's son, Christian as a Canadian backup there. They got Toure at the other defensive end. They do like to bring it. Like Matthew Betts, there's a reason he was in the NFL, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he led the league. He was the most valuable defensive players. The secondary, they got Gary Peters, who's the veteran of that group.
Huge. Great.
They got some deep balls thrown against them, but Micah Awe. He's a stud in the middle.
I think that means God. I think.
Yeah. And then you got, Adam Konar.
Yep.
His dad, Kevin Konar, played against me as a linebacker with the BC Lions as a stud. And then Ben Hladek. This kid had a nice interception. He was like 4 yards away from returning it for a touchdown. He can get after it, man. So, I mean, they got a good team. It'll be very, very interesting to see this because, I mean, they came out of the gate pretty good. You always want to win the first game. They had Snoop Dogg in the house, and Snoop Dogg rocked it there. Stayed late, threw a football, signed autographs, did everything.
He's a football coach. He coached his kids, right? Loves football.
Yes.
Yep.
What's it? Amon? What's the owner's name in BC?
Oh, Amar Doman.
What a job he's doing.
He really has.
I mean, he's making the other teams start to recognize that, you know what, you got to put a little fun in the game, a little pep in a step before the game. And I think that what he's done so far is fantastic for the league, and the players like it too. Yeah. Right? You don't want one guy up there playing banjo. I mean, it's like me. Why don't I just get Troy Westwood singing? Bring a Little Hawk. We'll bring Little Hawker, as he calls himself. I used to call him Little Chicken. Go up there and sing some songs. He was in a band too, right?
Well, he called you Big Chicken because of the Chicken Delight costume.
Oh, thank you very much.
I couldn't find. I was trying to pull that up. How come I can't find that picture of you?
I know.
You scrubbed the internet.
I know. I found it today, and I was on Twitter. I said, "That's enough of that, man."
Yeah.
You sometimes you wonder if these pictures are ever going to die, and I mean, I guess maybe when I die, they'll die, but that's okay. Anyway, it's just crazy, man, when you think about it. But having said that, DB, it is fun to be back. It is fun to be doing football, and it's going to be fun to watch this game because I love it when it's a Western matchup. I always like Winnipeg Sask, but they played back-to-back in exhibition season, which means just garbage to me. I don't really care. Then I thought it was the end of AJ Ouellette. Now he's back, and they signed a kid that I think, Kadeem Kaboom Carey.
Kaboom!
What a good pickup for them. But having said that, that's just. I think we'll start doing this maybe next show, DB. Maybe we'll do a segment around the league.
Absolutely, yeah.
A real quick 5 minutes around the league. What's going on?
But here, obviously, is the game we're talking about on Thursday night, June 12th, at home against the BC Lions. The Bombers will then travel to BC for their next game. So a back-to-back against the Lions. The Lions coming off a bit of a short week, and then the Bombers being rested. This will be an interesting back-to-back to see how they handle it, but it'll be a longer week with this game being Saturday. Just reminding everybody that we're going to be back all season long, pregame, postgame, live, always. Chris, you and I will do our pregame show, GameDay Winnipeg, live the day before the game. So you can wake up on game day at 6 a.m. and watch us on YouTube. And then Zach Schnitzer will join me for Game Day After Dark, as we always do, live game highlights following every Blue Bombers game, home and away. But it's going to be a great season. I'm really looking forward to it. Lots of changes for Winnipeg, but I'll be honest with you. I'll leave it on this thought because I've been saying it for weeks now, not on YouTube like this. And that is, I believe firmly the Blue Bombers roster today is stronger and deeper than it was last season, where They won the West and got to the Grey Cup. I expect them to be fighting right there tooth and nail with BC and with Saskatchewan for the West title in 2025.
Well, you don't go from the penthouse to the outhouse in one season unless you have major. You can, but you have to have major changes. And one of the major changes that has to happen is your pivotal players, which means it has to be your quarterback or somebody that's really the impactful player. We have what I consider the best quarterback in the league. I'm not taking anything away from guys that are coming up like Nathan Rourke or Vernon Adams Jr., but Zach is a proven winner. And when Zach's back there, I think that we have a chance. It's like I used to say with Dunnigan or Tommy Clements, we always knew you had a chance with those guys in the game. It's much like I think when I was talking to guys around the league once and I said, who is the biggest thing that makes you know you can win? And they went, I bet you 7 out of 10 said Doug Flutie. Flutie was just a freak.
Yeah.
You know what? He just did things that were, remarkable. I know he was in Calgary last week for the game. He looks good still, right? I mean,
no doubt. He's been eating those Wheaties. He's been eating those Flutie Flakes.
I think you had some, didn't you?
I have a box, yeah.
I heard you did, eh?
I haven't eaten it. I haven't cracked it open though. I think it's 30 years old, so.
Well, that's kind of like your underwear.
That's true. That is true. I really need to.
You remember that guy? I just want to leave it on this note too. The guy that you met at the car wash that you had a crush on.
Oh,
he used to play for the Bombers. You kept saying,
I don't know what it was with you.
I met him at the car wash, and man, we hit it off. He said, "Well, like who goes to the car wash to meet people?"
I ran into a Blue Bombers. I can't even remember his name. Blue Bombers receiver. I think he had like one big game, and like he was really tall and lanky. Hit us up in the live chat. Great to see everybody.
You were pretty funny. You were pretty funny, man.
Yeah, no, we ended up talking for like 45 minutes. He was a good guy. Interesting story. Yeah. So, I mean, Chris, as everybody knows, we're going to do this all season long. Great to be back with you for a 5th season on YouTube. This is our 11th year working together, you and I. Talk about underwear older than. Everybody knows how fortunate and blessed we all are to have you talking football with us. Everybody out there appreciating you. Me personally, I mean, brother, you know how much I love you and love doing this show with you. So thanks for being back again. Looking forward to it.
I think so too, DB. It's always a pleasure to do these games. I mean, I'm like an old man. I huff and I puff and
You're like an old man.
And I just don't want to, but when I get on air, I feel good with you.
Yeah, brother.
But it's other stuff like I'm doing my pool. I'm filling the old lady's tires up, or my wife's tires. I shouldn't say old lady's tires. The wife's tires up with a pressure gauge. I'm doing that, and all of a sudden I look. Oh God, I gotta be on in 5 minutes. I come in here, I'm sweating like a horse. Yeah, it's fun though. I don't care. You can't. I can't complain, brother.
No, sir. No, can't.
Nobody will listen anyway.
Well, hey, and we do this all for you out there, so appreciate your support. Be sure to share this episode and all of them with everybody. We'll get it up on podcast right away.
Thumbs up.
And, we'll be back all season long, so don't go anywhere, all right?
All right, my friend. I guess that's it for week 1.
Yep.
We'll know more going into next week. We'll have a lot more stuff, more in-depth, because we'll actually get to see the live version.
Little tape.
Of what Winnipeg is going to do. So look forward to seeing everybody at the stadium, Princess Auto Stadium tomorrow. Come on by the alumni booth and get some pictures with some of the old guys.
But you need a wide angle lens if they're taking a selfie with you.
Oh, for sure. For sure. What do you say? I'm fat now? Is that what you're saying?
No, it's your shoulders.
Oh, my shoulders are fine. You know what? Paul, Peter Delariva used to call me the bowling pin. said I had a big ass and small shoulders,
shaped like a pear.
I punched them up. Oh, thanks. That makes me even feel better.
No, not you. I'm just saying that. Yeah.
Where's the razor blades? I won't be around. All right, listen. Brother. I'm going to head out. I have to go do some stuff. Great to be back, DB. Great to work with you again. And go blue. That's all I got to say.
See you next time.
See you next time.